This is an intro. Intro.
Hustle and Float Chart with your boy,
My boy.
Matt Wolf and Joe Fier.
Hey.
What up, Joe?
What up, Matthew? How are you?
I'm doing good.
Me too. Guess what?
What?
As I just spit some pretzel out of my mouth. Sorry about that. We're not brain dead after this day of recording podcast episodes.
No, my brain is super fried right. I mean, it's fried in a good way. Like my wheels are spinning after today.
Oh, yes. I'm actually feeling bam.
Yeah, on it.
Well, you're sick, so
I have been sick, but I'm not. I'm actually feeling pretty okay today. I've got like kind of a lingering cough, but for the most part, I'm feeling pretty good today.
Good. Well, today we're nerding out on SEO talk.
SEO talk, and you know what?
Huh?
We're sponsored by Ahrefs, and we talk about Ahrefs a whole bunch in this episode. So this is like a super sponsored episode for Ahrefs. You're welcome, Ahrefs. We're not going to charge you more for it.
Just this one time. We'll accept any tips, though.
Yeah.
In future sponsorships. Today we like dive deep on different SEO strategies, all these SEO audits, content strategies, ways that we can just leverage the most out of our websites, really.
Yeah. So here's the thing with today's episode. So Joe and I, we don't talk about it often, but we've mentioned it a couple times on the show. We're co-owners in a business called Homebrew Academy, and it's a website that pretty much is exactly what it sounds like. We teach people how to brew beer. Well, one of the things that we've recently done is we brought this guy, Karl Steinmeyer, on board to help us run that business. He is an SEO ninja. He runs SEO for a lot of other companies. He builds content marketing plans. And so we brought him on board to Homebrew Academy to basically help us run the content and SEO plan to keep Homebrew Academy running. So what we thought would be cool is let's bring him on the show and talk to him about what he's done with us for Homebrew Academy. So that's essentially what we do on this episode is we talk about all the little tips and tricks and strategies and things that he's implemented on Homebrew Academy to really, really crank up the SEO. And, one of his favorite tools is Ahrefs. So we actually do talk about a lot of various tactics that you can use in Ahrefs. If you haven't realized already, this show is sponsored by Ahrefs, but I'm not going to give you like a cool little tip or tactic in this intro about how to use Ahrefs because we literally give a whole bunch in this full episode.
But you still have the ability to cash in on Ahrefs trial offer for $7 for 7 days. You can get full access to their suite of tools in Ahrefs. So that's what Karl's going to be talking about. That's what we use as our go-to SEO tool. We were in a mastermind last week with a bunch of podcasters doing cool stuff. I think every single person that talked about SEO related things uses Ahrefs. So just go try out Ahrefs at 7 bones for 7 days. So go to ahrefs.com. That's ahrefs.com, or check out some YouTube videos. They put a lot of cool content out there.
They have an amazing YouTube channel with a ton of awesome SEO strategies. So check that out as well. And then in this episode, we're also going to talk to you about Ahrefs and how we're using Ahrefs right now for Homebrew Academy. And Karl actually did an audit on our Evergreen Profits website and told us what was wrong with it.
Sad face. No, it's not that sad. But hey, we all have improvements to be had. And so you'll hear about some of the gaps that we have in our own business. But you could do, like, he'll talk about his audits. And he talked about what health score, I think is what basically all that stuff that he's referring to. Ahrefs can do it.
Yeah.
And but it's still up to you to interpret the data and figure out what to do with it. So maybe it's a good suggestion, actually, just go get that trial offer. Like, just pause and go over there to Ahrefs and spend $7, and you can actually like follow along with what Karl's talking about. So that could be a cool little interactive play there for you.
Yeah, and so we're gonna talk about how to find low hanging fruit keywords. We're gonna talk about on page SEO. We talk a little bit about off page SEO, but it's mostly about on page SEO.
He's an on page guy.
We talk about content and what types of content to have on your site and how to figure out what content to do. We even talk about Pinterest. At the end, we open up this topic of he's doing some cool things using Pinterest for Homebrew Academy and a few of the other businesses that he works with. And so I wanted to open that up and talk about Pinterest a little bit. And he gave us some cool strategies and tips on how to grow your brand on Pinterest too. So lots of ground covered, lots of ways for you to drive traffic into your business. And we're also taking notes on this thing.
Really?
Yeah, we are.
Wow. Your voice went, I don't know how many more octaves higher.
When I talk about notes, my octave goes like 2 octaves higher.
So anytime you say notes or octaves, you have to do that.
I have to say notes or octaves.
All right, cool. So I'm going to have to surprise you with like random. So I don't know. I'm going to work it in somehow.
Okay. But if they go to hustleandflowchart.com/comp, C-O-M-P,
What are they going to get?
they're going to get the notes for this episode.
You failed already.
The notes for this episode.
I'm just trying to set you up, and you.
Oh, it's
a low ball.
It's like playing a game of Simon Says. It's like you got to be paying attention here.
Right. Well, yeah, go get them notes. Hustleandflowchart.com/comp, C-O-M-P. That's limited time, but don't worry, because if you pause this right now and go grab Ahrefs and go grab these notes, you'll get both. You'll be happy. I promise. Matt, I think, promises to get the
Notes.
There it is. So go get those notes, hustleandflowchart.com/comp. And yeah, because like this is a tactical episode, you're going to want the processes, all that fun stuff. We got you back on those. And then Karl's just a badass because like he literally doesn't have anything to offer.
Yeah, he's not selling anything on this episode. He's not trying
an agency owner. He doesn't have products. He's just being cool.
He's just kind of behind the scenes working with a bunch of cool businesses, and we asked him to come share, and he said, absolutely not. These are my trade secrets. And then we begged him, and then he said, okay.
We might have had to pay him a little bit more. No, we didn't. He's cool. So let's go over to Karl. Enough jibba jabba from us.
Enough jibba jabba.
Oops. Karl, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be a kind of a different type of episode. Kind of like a little case study, like digging into your business model. It's interesting, like you were saying, you don't really have any products or services. Oh, you have services, but like not like publicly. So it's like it's just going to be an interesting chat about deep dive into SEO and optimizations and fun stuff like that.
Yeah. Definitely gonna jump into the weeds real quick.
That's what you do.
That's
Cool. Well,
name of the game.
well, for anybody listening, Karl is sort of a partner of ours on our Homebrew Academy website. We work closely with him to optimize and grow and better monetize that site. So we're going to get into some of the details around what he's doing there for us. But before we do, let's just kind of go into some of the backstory. How did you acquire the skills that you have now? What did you do before you were doing what you do now, and what is it that you do now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was to start with. It was the full cubicle hustle for a while. I was 12 years in a manufacturing environment inside of a little desk and a little cubicle in the corner of a manufacturing plant. Figure out how to make all the ends meet. One day I typed in how to make money online.
Dangerous.
10 years ago, brain fried for at least 12 months, but it gave me the opportunity to level up some skills that I just wasn't fully utilizing in my current day job. But it kind of gave me a decent perspective too from the manufacturing like systems mindset with Toyota Ways and production systems to apply those types of methodologies to a website and the content processes that go into it. I kind of worked in the middle of both worlds and kind of developed systems and processes for online, whether it's traffic generation or content or links. That's the two big buckets: content, links, online. So yeah, it was kind of an interesting blend. So I dived down that rabbit hole. I made a few of my own affiliate sites. I sold one for 6 figures a few years ago. I thought the next step for me at the time was to get into e-commerce. So I did the FBA game. I ended up selling that business because I didn't like it all that much. I developed a new product from scratch. That was fun. So I went through the full sourcing products in China from development from scratch. So I created something brand new. It wasn't the private label that the FBA game typically subscribes to.
Yeah. What was the product?
It was a set of cat ears that go on a motorcycle helmet. I still have that business right now.
Nice. That's right. I forgot you're into all that stuff. I didn't know that was actually your own product. That's really cool.
Yeah. I made that, did the full bid on it, trademark, patent, and I still sell that. I have a group of awesome moto kitties, they call themselves, that love riding around with those things, and it's fun. It doesn't exactly pay the full overhead for a 3-person family in the U.S.
Yeah.
But it's a fun business. I like the customers. I like creating the content around it.
Nice.
But I think I'm going to end up selling that here next year, the year after, because it's just slow. As compared to SEO and content online, I can have an idea for a product, and it takes me 6 months to develop it. And iterate over time with 3D printing. Even that's even faster. With molds and suppliers and that kind of stuff, it's just real slow. But if I have an idea for a piece of content for a site, I can have it up this afternoon. Start optimizing it from there, and it can start at potentially making money tomorrow. So the two worlds are definitely of different speeds, but you got to know what you're doing in both of them.
Interesting. Would you create your own product again and go down that whole rabbit hole?
I think I would, with the intention of just knowing that it's a revenue stream in addition to like a website. There's affiliate sites. People call them Amazon sites, which is a stupid name for a website.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to level up the monetization on their website that's monetized heavily with Amazon links, they can look into creating their own products or private labeling a product. And that was kind of one of the different avenues to go down if you're looking for different ways to monetize those types of websites. So I think I would do it again on top of that, inside of the, for example, the Homebrew space. We've been chatting back and forth offline on different products that would be good products to be inside of the Amazon atmosphere, to be fulfilled by Amazon. They're lightweight, they're easy to ship, nothing is breakable, no glassware, that kind of stuff. There's no electronics. It's just products that people would find on that site. Maybe we can be an affiliate for other people's for a little while, see if they convert, and then improve upon some of the downsides of those products and create something new.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That is pretty much what you're doing. You're leading the charge on our Homebrew site, which we'll get into later on. We'll do like a deep dive on what you're doing on that site to really rehab the whole thing. It's been like not a broken house, but like it's like a flip for you.
Yeah.
Like minus the selling off phase yet.
That's still in the cards though.
Oh yeah.
I've never totally got the Amazon affiliate site concept, because I feel like with Amazon, like the people that are the top of their game, aren't they only earning 8% commissions on like $20 products?
Yeah. Yeah, $20 to $50 is kind of the sweet spot. Some people promote and like to sell courses around higher end products with higher, commissions on that same 8%. It used to be tiered, so the volume that you sent, you would get a little bit more. Then it went to flat, then it's kind of been creeping down over the years. So I mean, some categories are 2%, which is kind of ridiculous. Whoa. But it's a volume based game. It's the SEOs on the front end of those sites are targeting keywords in the 20 to 100,000 K search range. So the volume is there when it comes to having 30,000 through a site in a day, converting at 8 to 10% for those small commissions. It starts to add up pretty quick.
Yeah. Now let's actually start to shift a little bit into like SEO type stuff with keywords that are getting 100,000 plus searches a month. I think most people probably think those keywords are really hard to target. How difficult is it to go after keywords that are that get that much search volume?
Oh, they're all over the place. It depends on the industry, right? So I'm an on-site SEO specialist for a company called Rankings.io, which is SEO for lawyers. And in the lawyer space, a lot of those guys are pretty smart and clever with their own stuff, and then they retain good services for SEO, which that gets competitive really quick, right? So AdWords clicks don't seem to slow that speed down at all. If they're offering $50 to $100 a click, you're going to have some very experienced competitive SEOs in there very quick in those markets when those bids are that high. But a lot of the stuff, that the SEO game is fun because it's not really as visual as, say, like health and fitness. If you're going out looking for a personal trainer, you're going to be able to look at them and see. You're not going to hire a fat guy for a trainer,
right?
just going to go on to the next guy, and maybe he knows what he's doing, or you got a referral from a friend, or, you like the person, or it's in family or whatever. When you're looking for an SEO, you really can't see exactly if he knows what he's talking about. You can ask him for references and experience, and maybe like other sites that person has in their like own portfolio. But even then, if you don't know what you're looking at, you don't know what you're looking at. Mechanics, that's the same way. I'm up in a small town here in Michigan, and everybody can call themselves mechanic, but you look at the garage, and you can clearly see if they know what the hell they're doing or not. If they have a couple old hot rods that run great and they're 40 years old and they're all tuned up and tweaked up, and everybody that goes to that mechanic says great things about them, then hold on to that guy, because they're few and far between. Other YouTube mechanics are just trying to make $1 on hopefully trying to figure out how to fix your whatever you bring them on the fly, and they may or may not, you may or not trust them, and it's just really can't have that level of comparison with an SEO, either a freelancer or an agency, because you really don't know what you're looking at sometimes.
Yeah, and that was like us when we met you. You came through a warm referral through Brad Costanzo, our business partner, and I forget all the details of the story, but it's exactly what you said. It's like we looked at some of the sites you've done, and you could talk the talk, and it did help that you, I think you had our book actually. The first time we met you, you're like, hey, I bought your book. It's like, so like, you kind of checked all the trust boxes, and then what we did is we did kind of like all right, well, let's throw you into the mix of things and see what you do. It became very clear that, your shit, or at least like you're really organized and you put on a good front. But no, it's working.
Sure. It does help when you don't have to go out there and research the questions right off the go. I think some of the earlier stuff that we're looking at with the Homebrew site was just some of the Amazon affiliate links, like they weren't compliant. It's like one of those that, it doesn't necessarily fall underneath the umbrella of an SEO. But if you're running a site that gets traffic, you probably should stay within the terms of service of the affiliate program you're promoting. So, you kind of got to know, it's not a bolt-on thing, right? You don't just bolt on SEO. It's kind of it's interweaving between all the other areas of good on-site and off-site SEO.
Let's talk about that. So, talk about like what the compliance thing was, because that was like a gray area. I know we're all like looking into it, and I bet a bunch of people are probably not compliant and they just don't realize it. Like with Amazon links specifically. Yeah,
sure. Well, that was an easy one. They were under what's called a 301 redirect, and it's easy to set that stuff up with tracking plugins. But Amazon doesn't like it because they like to be able to track where those things are coming from specifically. So if you have a redirection plugin, like a Pretty Links plugin, I think that site was right off the get-go. It makes a nice, cool little link. It's Homebrew Academy / whatever product, right? But those 301 redirects aren't compliant because Amazon doesn't know exactly where that stuff comes from. If those Pretty Links get shared, whether it's by you or somebody else on Facebook or Pinterest or somewhere else, they have a harder time tracking those things. So they require that those URLs be clearly displayed, whether it's a short link or a full long link. If you hover over a link, you should see where you're going. And that way they can crack down on a lot of spam too. It was really, internet marketers can destroy everything with a course. If you take one course and they tell, 600 people how to do something, those 600 people are in networks with friends and family, and they all say, we should do it this way. The spam control on that definitely is what, you stay in compliance or you're out.
Amazon has, I'm sure there's like all affiliate programs is we're always reading the terms, conditions, and like make sure that you probably cycle through those things pretty often because they're updating terms and all that stuff, sometimes without telling you. And Amazon, I mean, it's probably the most prolific, affiliate site out, or program out there, because people are just like, oh, here's a book, put them in the show notes, things
Right.
like that. But yeah, it's good. So just read the terms and don't use pretty links and all that stuff.
Yeah.
For Amazon.
Now, so we're on like a Slack channel together where we talk about the Homebrew Academy stuff, and every single time I see, actually, I think I hear Slack on your computer right now, but every single time I see your name pop up in Slack, I get excited because I'm like, oh shit, he's just done something ninja. I already tell. Like every time your name pops up, you're telling us about something cool that's happening on our site. So I want to let's talk about Homebrew Academy and some of the cool stuff that you've implemented that's been getting us some results over there.
Yeah, so this was by a site. It looked like a new site builder, just based on some of the content right off the get-go. Worked on. His name is Billy. He worked on it hard for 4 years, and he had a lot of content that was around the homebrew, like his favorite hobby at the time. It looks like when he was starting to learn how to build a website. So a lot of that content surrounds the personality of what Billy was. Involved with it, some of his you can just tell there's 30 days of posts in a row about all types of things just to get somebody in the habit of writing and putting content out, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
Basis content and some of those keywords and URL structures on those things, it's like nobody really cares if they go to Homebrew Academy if Billy's moving from his mom's house to wherever he was moving to at the time. There's just some older posts in there that are specifically based on lifestyle, right, of a blogger. And they don't know at the time too. They're just like, somebody told me to write for 30 days and 14 days later I'm out of things to talk about. So
talk about my cat and
yeah, right. But that stuff doesn't, they don't go back and clean that kind of stuff up. Same thing with some of the images, like the alt text, like the really down into the weeds SEO stuff of on page. Those things don't get cleaned up as that site owner progresses in their kind of their online journey. He looked like he went more into courses. So that site was kind of a lot of informational content and very low commercial content. So when I was kind of the first SEO audit on it, with a lot of the keywords that came back from that, there's a lot of them were informational. So the first content sprint that I set up was to level out the informational and commercial keywords that people can find this site through and in the search. And it wasn't monetized with display ads. A lot of the informational sites out there are monetized, through AdSense or maybe even a premium network like Mediavine or AdThrive as you get to a higher page view level. But if they're not specifically focused around a certain topic, even those premium ad networks will, they'll want you to stay either focused around a niche that they can pitch to their advertisers. But with the informational commercial content balance, a lot of those advertisers, they're clearly advertising because they have products to sell. So they either want to see a focused site around a specific topic that matches their target market, or commercial content around it because they know people are going there looking for, they call them buyer intent keywords, best this, or things for home brewers, whether it's gear, equipment, or physical products. Higher RPMs come through those premium ad networks because it's around commercial type keywords. Does that make a sense? We kind of went a couple different areas with that, but hoping I can.
No, that's good. And so one of my just a question that popped up in my mind is when you're working, because I know you work on a lot of different sites, different industries and verticals. Where do you start with your SEO audit? What are you looking for that maybe the listeners here can maybe a few things like, oh man, we got to button up these before anything else happens?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like some of the easy stuff, some of the low hanging fruit, is with Ahrefs, it gives you a health score if you put your site into a site audit.
Mm-hmm.
I put in Evergreen Profits into the site audit yesterday.
Hey, don't tell everybody about our screw ups, man, and all the whole. No, I'm just kidding. Go for it. Okay.
No, that's cool. So some of the quick wins. I mean, the on page, like on a homepage, the heading structure. Those things should read like a book. You should have one H1 on a page that clearly just lays out what the page is about, and then 3 or 4 H2s and 3 or 4 H3s underneath that, depending on the amount of content that's on the homepage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with the Homebrew Academy, it was just a blog feed. So all those H2s were changing out every time a new blog post got put up. Which kind of varies the anchor text ratios. It varies a lot of stuff as those blogs are being posted, whether it's once a day, once a week. I think there was 15 author profiles on that site when I first started on it. So there was a lot of people writing on that thing for the course of a year. Those homepages changed pretty frequently, and there wasn't a whole lot of text on it. The homepage is the most powerful page on a site. It gets the most links. It gets naked URL links. It gets links from sharing on social media. Hey, go to this site and search for this, or go to the site and check this other thing out. People don't paste in the links, for deep URLs. They paste in the homepage links. So those are the most powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense to have anchor text linked into internal pages on the homepage, right? So it's, if you don't have text on the page, like EP doesn't have a whole lot of text on the page besides blog feed, it's hard to put an anchor text linked into another page and pass through some of the authority from the homepage to an inner page. So that's usually a quick one that I can see, adding 1,500 words detailing what the site is about. It makes for a good user experience.
Right.
It's all user. Google cares about the user before they care about how many links you have pointing to your site.
Mm-hmm.
So if that text clearly displays and tells a good brand story, I think is a good part of it too.
Yeah.
But
so like looking at our website, you'd suggest like, all right, add a bunch of like 1,500 words or so, clean up the tags as best as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's mobile usability. All the images you have on that homepage, they're pretty well optimized. Except for when you go in and start embedding stuff, like the YouTube player. You wouldn't think that the smallest image, this little yellow hustle and flowchart image on your guys' homepage, you wouldn't think that adds a lot of weight to a page until you run it through Google PageSpeed Insights and realize that that tiny image is like 5 times the size of your biggest image on the site.
Oh, wow.
Which kills mobile load speed. Google does mobile indexing first since like earlier this year, I think. So anything that's going on with your mobile page speed insights on developers.google.com should be fixed. That's a nice checklist of stuff to do, just like Ahrefs, with their health score. You can work your way down the list, and just by taking your health score from 21% to above 80, that's going to fix a lot of those issues just by doing that.
Now, what do you do if some of the stuff that's affecting the health score is plugins that you're using that are necessary to your site? Like, for example, the image that you're referring to with the Hustle and Flowchart logo that's in the player, that's actually fed by a third-party plugin that puts that player there. So it's like, is there things that you can do to optimize the plugins, or do you recommend just getting rid of those plugins and finding alternatives?
A little bit of both, best of both worlds. There's some plugins that if the site changes hands, it's not just built by you from the beginning. If you're buying a site, a lot of the plugins are only utilized like 5 to 10% of their actual capabilities. So somebody will add a plugin with, 12 different things to it, but they only want it for the one thing. And then a lot of those plugins will overlap in their capabilities, which kind of bloats out your database a little bit. So you can go through and kind of prune out some of that stuff. you know, you get creative like that thing on your site. There's not a whole lot you can do pulling that third-party resource. It happens with podcast players, and it happens with YouTube embeds a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So usually what I recommend is creating a separate page, you know, with an optimized image that links to that page, right? So you have a specific page for your latest, you know, podcast like we're on now,
Mm-hmm.
but not have it embedded in the homepage. Just have a link with that play button that links to it.
Because we have the actual player in there on the homepage.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, okay, I get you. And just direct them to a show notes page.
Yeah, right. You got to zoom in out just a little bit and kind of, you know, think about the actual user that's on the site. Do they want to listen to that podcast when they're kind of surfing around the homepage?
Right.
If they really want to listen to it, they probably should just be on the internal page, because they might be looking for some of the resources that you're talking about anyways.
That's
Yeah,
good. Very
that's
good
true.
point. And we reference that all the time. It's show notes. Go to the show notes. Click that thing. Yeah.
Yeah, get the newsletter for sure. It's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. So, okay. So you got your health score on Ahrefs. You have that whole like kind of checklist and all that stuff. And yeah, we've had other SEO folks on here, and they're always harping on the mobile first. A lot of the tools, you know, we'll list in the show notes as well. Obviously, the developer tools seem super helpful.
Well, from what I understand, Google is actually like ranking based on mobile first. So Google's actually kind of looking at mobile and using that as a big ranking factor, whether you're on mobile or desktop.
Yeah. Yep. They got a lot of them, and that's a big one. You know, it's easy to say and it's easy to repeat, difficult to put into practice if you don't know what you're doing. You know, there's some other tools like ready.mobi that will give you a better perspective of, you know, a list of action items that you can take to actually improve that speed, you know, or for a developer or some hosts actually will help out with some of that stuff. So it'll give you a breakdown of like high, middle, and low tier phones, because not everybody has the same phone, screen size, bandwidth, you know, whether they're connected to Wi-Fi or not. You know, there's some other tools that you can break into that I think I put together in that SEO audit when we first started on Homebrew. One thing that I heard you talking about on the bumper of the show, the Ahrefs gap audit, I've had some pretty good success building that into an SEO audit. So combining a gaps report, really, you know, like when you guys were explaining, you know, you put your website in there, you get a list of your top 10 competitors. You know, you can run a gaps analysis in that same tool on like 3 competitors at a time, and that'll spit out low, medium, high competition keywords that those sites are ranking for and yours is not. You know, you continue to work down that list. After you get to say 20 competitors, like your top 20 competitors, you should have a list of 50,000 keywords between all of them that they're ranking for and you're not even coming close to, you know, in a sortable spreadsheet. So that always is a pretty good starting point when it comes to putting a content plan together.
Yeah. Well, even as podcasters, we could probably throw in some other similar podcasts and see what guests have really hit for them as well, and try to chase up some of those same guests, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's stuff you don't even know about that comes up. You know, it's like, I had no idea what helium beer was when I first started.
That's right.
I was like, what?
Totally legit.
I've been drinking beer for years. I've never heard of this.
Oh man, I'm pretty sure the helium beer thing is like a joke, but
It is. It totally is. Yeah, you can't do it. It's, you know, scientifically not possible.
Yeah.
but the first time I saw it, I was like, "What the fuck? This is a thing?"
I think it was like your father-in-law sent it to us, Matt, like years ago. I remember seeing that the very first time. I was like, no.
Yeah, it does make its rounds, you know, but there's hundreds of thousands of people coming online every single day that have, I drink beer. I had no idea what it was. And it turns out 46,000 people a month search that particular phrase.
That's insane. And that was probably all started from like a viral video. And now it's turned into traffic that we're leveraging to actually sell legit homebrew content and equipment and all that stuff. It's just really interesting. You can kind of pair yourself up with like a trend or something out there. It might not be actual good value content, but it's entertaining. So it's a little combo.
Yeah, absolutely. And those things, they get natural links over time too. If you put together a good resource about, something like that, people just link to it because, it's a pretty encompassing resource. If you kind of like skyscraper the top 10 and put together an all-encompassing resource on that topic, you'll rank for it pretty quick on a IPA site like that. You'll start getting links naturally. Those links will pass through to the stuff that you linked internally to your other pages, right? That authority kind of works its way through the site. I guess going back to some of the lower hanging fruit, I guess that you guys can start with, and of course the listeners can start with, that there wasn't a sitemap on that site when I first started on it either. In the footer, there's a privacy policy and a terms of service that were just blank template pages, so they didn't have any internal links. There was no formatting. There wasn't actually any CSS around any of those pages, which kind of is a bunch of red flags and stuff. But with a sitemap, there's two different sitemaps, I guess. The easy way I usually explain it is there's one for crawlers and there's one for the user. The user sitemap is the HTML sitemap. It's the one that you could actually surf to and navigate inside of a header or footer on a website and kind of navigate your way through the site. That site didn't have one on it, and that really spreads through some of the link authority that just the homepage and some of those popular pages we were talking about get. So definitely a good. If you don't have a sitemap in your header and footer, don't just link your XML sitemap, which is the one that Google crawls and you can no index stuff out of, but create a HTML sitemap for a better user experience.
Gotcha. And do most websites forget about that or just not think about that?
Yeah, about half of them that I work on are just like, where is this sitemap? Half the lawyer sites I work on, well, probably more than half. Those are like my secretary's nephew's uncle's brother's friend made the site. Can you guys please do it for, personal injury attorney, Chicago? And you're like, no, I can't. Certain. It needs a lot more work than that, but for starters, it definitely needs a sitemap somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any like WordPress plugins that you recommend for SEO? Because we use the Yoast SEO plugin, and that builds a sitemap in it, and then it also gives us per post sort of options to boost the SEO for each post. I'm curious, do you use that plugin, or do you have any plugins you recommend, or do you prefer to do the on-page stuff kind of more manually?
No, that's a good one. That's kind of the industry standard. They've had their bumps and bruises over the years, but it's improved over time with, feedback and stuff. And that we use across the agency, and I use it on my own sites. It does build an XML sitemap, but that's not one that you would be able to go to as a user and just kind of navigate through the site. I mean, you can when you know what you're looking at. If you look at those things every day like I do, but you wouldn't want to have that linked in your footer navigation for somebody to go to if if they were trying to navigate to a page they couldn't find either on your homepage or your person's page or something like that. Yeah, you need to build a separate HTML sitemap.
No, is there a plugin for that or a tool or something that you recommend that does that, or is that a manual process?
Oh yeah, no, there's plugins. I mean, with WordPress, there's plugins for everything.
That's true.
Is good and bad. You got to watch the load on the page speed. But yeah, there's simple HTML sitemaps plugin that'll take the XML sitemap and just reformat it to embed on a page.
Okay, gotcha. Cool, yep. Nice. So that's a good little resource there for folks.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Go to Homebrew Academy. It's in the footer. Just click on it. You know what I'm talking about.
See the example there. Nice. Yep. Okay. So anything else on that kind of startup phase or what you're looking for?
Yeah. It's a good, if you have a 404 page, it's a good spot to embed that HTML sitemap too. If somebody lands on a 404 page for a lot of different reasons, most of the time, like part of my job is to go in there and obviously, redirect that page that's broken to a relevant page, right? That passes the link authority through from any other external sites that may have linked to it. But just a good catch-all is to have that sitemap embedded inside of a 404 page. Mm-hmm. And 404 is just, a URL that's broken, that doesn't work. So it'd be the main slug of a website plus something that doesn't have any content there. So it's, oops, you landed here. You may be looking for these things. And usually those things that websites will list out as either a portion or all of their HTML sitemap. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So you just plug it right there on that 404 page. So the standard redirect goes to that. So it's always passing the juice. Okay. Got it. Smart. Huh. And then, of course, there's content. There's probably a whole I heard you mention content sprints earlier. Does that come after the audit phase?
Yeah. It's when we identify, what the site is lacking, whether it was, say it's all commercial content. We don't want the site to look like an e-commerce store when it's not. Mm-hmm. So you may need some informational content that can support some of those bigger, authority style pieces. And, you kind of go through I call them a sprint really, because it's not sustainable long-term, posting 10 articles a week. But it's great to get out a massive amount of focused content to a site to be able to start to work on other areas, so you would want to spread that out across 12 months. You'd want to contain it in a 3 month inside of a quarter. And that way the following month you can start to identify keywords that have landed on the second or third page, ways to optimize and improve those to improve the rankings. So it's just a thinking process really to be able to identify where a site's at and what you should focus on.
Gotcha. Okay.
What are some of the other cool ways that you use Hrefs? Because I know we've had some conversations about that in the past about some really cool stuff there. For example, one of the things we like to do is we like to search on Hrefs on our site, look at what keywords we're ranking for on page 2 and 3, and then just add more internal links to that content on our site. And a lot of times that is enough to just boost that to, maybe the 10th spot on page 1 or something. Are you doing anything like that? Any other cool little tricks that you can do with Hrefs to help your SEO?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's a bunch inside the site audit. It shows if pages are orphan pages, if they're just out there and they don't have any links, if it was part of some type of campaign that just got lost, or there's full teams of 10 to 15 people that have good or bad communication working on these things, and sometimes those pages get created and never used, so they're just called orphans. Not a good user experience. There's pages that have links to redirects, from those sites evolving over time, and the underlying architecture usually gets thought about last. So the guys like me that come in and clean all that kind of stuff up, you can see a redirect to a redirect to a redirect, over the course of like 1 year, then the next year, and it's those redirect chains they call them. They take a while for the page to load because it has to continually talk to the server about where's the next redirect. So those are a bunch of the things inside of the site audit. And it's got rank trackers, which come in super handy for a lot of different stuff. You can just throw your site into a rank tracker and see what it's already ranking for. And then sort and export that data if you want to, if you're better at spreadsheets. And look at ways to improve that existing content. One of the things that usually gets thought about last is like keyword cannibalization. Sometimes people think if they create 5 pieces of content around a specific topic, that's going to give them, more opportunity to rank for that topic. But if Google has a problem identifying 2 pages on your site for one keyword that you either found in the Keywords Explorer or Rank Tracker, they're kind of gonna, at least in my experience, I don't know exactly what Google does, and I've never met them in person, but that algorithm's going to have a hard time determining which keyword, so it's going to lower both of them. You know, if there's a different site that it knows this keyword is the only one on that site and everything else is created equal, that one's going to outrank the combination of both of yours.
So would you suggest doing something more like a skyscraper post around that specific keyword once you identify that as one that you can rank well for?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you're going to put in the time and effort to create a big piece of content like a skyscraper is, you know, if you get to the point where you think it needs a second page, it should be a child page inside of that site architecture.
So that's like a part 2 or something of that blog post, and then you link the two together and all that stuff. Is that what a child page would kind of be?
It's more like say you have 5 of a certain thing, like a product. You know, there's another site I work on that has motorcycle trailers. So I wouldn't want to put out motorcycle trailers on all 5 pages. I'd want to put out a big page about motorcycle trailers, and then, you know, it'd be site name / motorcycle trailers / the name of the trailer. So the child page,
okay,
1 page deeper inside of the actual internal site structure.
Gotcha. Okay. Got it. And then you would link that within WordPress in the back end there.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I've definitely been guilty of that in the past when we'll put like a blog post up and it'll do really well. It'll rank really well for a specific keyword and it sends lots of traffic. And I'm like, cool, this is working. I'll make another article on that same thing and I'll own 2 spots on the front page of Google.
Yeah.
And they both go down.
It's pretty common. It really is. You know, I think a better way to do that, and some really good SEOs have kind of talked about this a lot, but is to improve that existing piece of content and then relaunch it. So you can either relaunch it to your list with updated, revised, whatever language you want to use surrounding that, but you know, to expand that original content with your part 2 and have that under one particular resource.
Yeah.
You know, as you're talking, I just thought about what Homebrew was doing that with shipping beer. There's all different, you know, clubs and things that you can get beer shipped to your house through the mail that you can join up on a monthly recurring revenue, you know, kind of thing. But if you have like the ins and outs of shipping beer, how to ship craft beer. I think there was one on how to ship beer bottles. And, you know, it's like, those are all going to compete with each other. They're actually going to help each other out. They're going to compete. And if they're competing, they're all going to get kind of dropped. So I combine them all together, and guess who's ranking for, you know, how to ship beer.
Yeah. That's awesome. Now, how much does the date of the post matter? Is that a ranking factor? Like, if we're going to go relaunch a post that we wrote a year ago but updated, should we change the date on the post, or is that not even a factor? Does that even matter?
Doesn't matter as much as people like to tout about it. It's more of a feel-good type thing. You know, it's why people call themselves white hat SEOs or black hat SEOs. It's more of a computer between your ears. Needs something to feel good about. But, you know, if it makes sense, you can, you know, we're talking about more static type pages,
right,
like Home Academy and how to ship beer. There's sites that, you know, people still follow with blog feeds and RSS and like 5 years ago internet. That if a new post comes out, it looks like the same post from last week, it might be a problem to their readers type of thing.
Right.
I can see it.
Personality driven.
Yeah, because I know in the rankings, I mean, sometimes you'll see the date of the post, you know, right there in the rankings, and it's almost like, oh, if you see one from 2012, you're a little bit less amped to like, I don't know, I'm gonna go with the one from like 2019 or something. So maybe that would help, you know, what you're saying, Matt, but it's probably minor in the grand scheme of things.
Have you been on Google on your mobile? Have you searched on your mobile device recently? Or has it been mostly desktop work for you guys?
I search on my mobile every once in a while on the Chrome app on my phone. Why do you ask that?
Well,
I do it right
updates roll out some type. I think last month to the month before, the little ad, like this is an ad, that got resized to the same size as a website's like favicon.
Uh-huh.
So it's just a way to hide that inside the user experience. Those things are designed the same. They take up the same amount of space on a mobile device. I think the URL went away a few months before that, so you'll see like a website slug and then maybe the title tag of a page rather than the full like naked URL of a website.
Okay. So it's a little cleaner and it's a nice. It looks like I'm actually on the. I just looked up helium beer right now. I was like, where do we rank? And we're on the first page, and everything has an image next to it. It looks like if there's a featured image, it's just like a nice big placement of a search result. It looks nice.
So are they trying to make the organic results look closer to the ad results so that the ads feel more native? Is that kind of the goal?
Yeah. They won't say it like that, but I think it's
You nailed it, Matt.
Absolutely. That's kind of the primary goal there, is to have ads inside of organic search results that look the same. Obviously, that helps with grades. Yep.
Well, and that's the whole intention of Google anyway. They want a good user experience. They want, just a good UI, and they want time on site to the relevant content pieces they're directing people to. So it just makes sense.
Yeah. So do you do any off-page SEO? Do you do any outreach, or are there any places that that when you get links from these places, they're powerful links that aren't hard to get, or anything like that? What's your off-page strategy, or do you only focus on-page stuff?
Yeah, on-page is more my offense. I prefer to have a killer offense rather than a decent offense and a decent defense. So I'll look at ways to rank stuff in Google just with killer on-site SEO. And if I can't start the conversion rate process on that, if it's e-commerce or buyer intent keywords, I'll start an actual process for having those things get natural links, right? So it's a resource that people would naturally want to link to because it's like actually that good. It provides that much value, and they can find it because it's already on page one. And that will usually kind of trickle through to the rest of the site. So one resource added every other week or every month, internal linked properly, will start to lift up other resources, and then commercial type keywords too. So yeah, I don't do a whole lot in the link building thing. I've tried in the past, and I just didn't like the process as much as I like having great on-site processes.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Is there anything when it comes to SEO that we're kind of missing, or that we haven't touched on yet that we should touch on? I know it's such a broad topic and there's so many different places we could go. I just want to make sure we get like all of the sort of biggest gold nuggets out that the listeners could walk away with and go, oh, I know I could go implement that.
Yeah. I think we covered a lot of it. For businesses, they can, go through an SEO audit process. Obviously get a referral from somebody that you're comfortable with working with. That's different from just the regular site owner. Like you guys made evergreen profits, right? It's not like you bought that from somebody. At least I don't think about it.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we built it. We're actually in the process of working with a designer to completely overhaul it. So your feedback on this episode's amazing, because we're gonna put that into what we expect when we have this redesign finished.
Shout out to Greg from Studio One.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
Oh yeah. He's inside you guys' group. He's awesome.
Yeah, he is. No, he's cool.
I think besides having a great homepage with a good amount of text that explains the whole story right there on the one page that you land on, it kind of flows nice, and it has internal links to other pages. It just creates, I tend to lean more on internal links inside the container, the text container, like inside of an individual post or page. I guess that's one thing you can look out for too, is the actual menu, the sidebar, and the footer. Those links are on every page. So if you scrape a full site that's got 500 pages on it, there's going to be 100,000 links to one page from, every single page once the math extrapolates.
Right.
May not be 100, maybe 50,000 links, but those are obviously going to be that. I mean, they have to be devalued, right? You can't have that many pages on one site with the same anchor text because it's the menu, and have it be the same weighted factor as an internal link that's got maybe not the exact match keyword, maybe it's a phrase match or partial match, or 2 or 3 extra words that really explain or sell the link better, sell it to be able to get somebody to not like sell the link, but to get somebody to actually click on it. You'd never put like drop here on an email to your guys' list. You put, a couple benefits, why you guys like it. You'd explain a little bit more. You'd kind of sell that link on why somebody would want to click on it.
Yeah.
That's going to actually expand the anchor text internally to a site, to another page.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
The menu and footer is not as important as people make it out to be.
Yeah. I've never really thought about that. I've never really thought about the fact that Google is probably looking at whether this link is within a piece of content versus in your menu or your sidebar or somewhere like that. But that totally makes sense.
Is there a way to like mark this as like, this is a menu, this is a footer, so it doesn't?
Well, I mean, there's already CSS sort of stuff there, but I don't know if Google's looking at that or not.
Yeah, it's inside Ahrefs. It's one of those tools that if you know what you're looking for, you can definitely find how many links are in content compared to nav links, I guess is the shorthand.
And do you think it's just like a matter of them looking at the CSS and the CSS is telling us this is a menu versus this is a content?
Yep.
Huh. So yeah, that's what you would.
Okay, well, I guess that's how it
All
works.
right. There's the answer.
One other real quick thing. I know, with Homebrew Academy, I believe we talked about doing like a few little things on Pinterest. Did you ever do some stuff with Pinterest with Homebrew Academy?
Oh yeah.
And
that's
what were some of the things that you were testing with Pinterest and Homebrew Academy?
So that's just an algorithm, just like Google is. Pinterest has different factors that it uses to rank pins in their own search, right? So if you search particular things around the homebrew beer space, you can almost hack those with your board names and keywords inside of pin descriptions. And like the one people forget about most is to actually name the image when you're uploading it. It's not just image 456, it's keyword.
The actual file name of it.
Like in the actual like JPG file or whatever, actually make it the keyword is the file name.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Do it on your website and do it on Pinterest. One of the earliest successes I had on Pinterest was with the motorcycle helmets. If you searched motorcycle helmets on Pinterest, I had like 4 different boards, Bluetooth motorcycle helmets, airbrush motorcycle helmets, all those boards would come up before an actual pin would. That kind of gave me the data, I guess, to realize that cleverly named Pinterest boards with a lot of content that supports that kind of mirror images a good site architecture. So keyword stuffing is obviously a problem that they combat with spam filters and everything else. But it can be manipulated in the good sense of the word to be able to provide the metrics that they're looking for, because they're looking for the same user experience, how to keep people on their site longer, to serve them ads from brands that want to get in front of those same customers.
That makes sense. And that's like YouTube as well. I've heard the same strategy with uploading videos is put the keywords in the video file name before you upload it. And they're all the intention of all these platforms, and obviously YouTube and Google are owned by the same company. So you think that their algorithms are pretty similar when you said, do that on your website. When you upload images, put it in the file name. And then Pinterest, they're just going for the same goal, keep people on their site, so they make more money that way. So same kind of algorithm concepts apply.
So if you kind of split those into 2 different buckets, there's informational type pins like people are looking at pretty pictures. Guys actually like looking at pictures of, full glasses of beer, but if you have text on the image, it's just like trying to run a Facebook ad that's got too much text on it. They're not going to go out and say that, just like Facebook will. Hey, you got too much text on your image. You're trying to drive somebody off our platform because you're telling them what this pin is about if they click through to it. So if you have like half your content that's got text on it that explains, whether it's a recipe or how to do something or something that they'd be interested in, then the other half just straight up good pictures that people like to repin to their site or, repin to their own boards, just kind of actually engage with, rather than every single pin you put up trying to drive traffic off of their site. Yeah, they're just going to dial you back on your reach really hard. Now they're a public company too, so they have other incentives. But yeah, it's just like YouTube. They want to keep people on site, so you might have to split your strategy in half of it to provide value on YouTube to get more reach, then the other half to either retarget that same user, or to drive them off. Yep.
So are you seeing pretty good traffic from Pinterest then?
No, not on Homebrew. Certainly not. No,
but the helmet site, it did send some pretty decent traffic back to your site.
Yeah, thousands of visitors. It was up to close to 1,000 a day at one point.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess with Pinterest, it must. I mean, this is just my own theory, but it must be just kind of a demographic thing. I mean, I'm a beer drinker. Joe's a beer drinker. We're not really on Pinterest very often, and so I'm just wondering if it's some demographics are on there and some just aren't yet, and I'm wondering if maybe like a lot of the homebrew crowd, the craft beer crowd, people like that are not quite on Pinterest yet.
No, it's kind of a segmented strategy. It's a process. It's get a good foundation with content that targets keywords and that kind of stuff. But then you have to start playing with the user a little bit, in the good sense of the word. If it's women that are on there, they might be looking for gifts for their husband that homebrews that they can't find gifts for.
I like
that. Makes sense. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So it's kind of seasonality a little bit, but it's also crafting that message a little bit to, once you know the user, then you can start to actually put up paid ads on that platform that they want you to put up anyways.
Yeah. So you can create like a board that's called like gifts for the beer lover or something, which will probably always get a little bit of love throughout the year because there's obviously birthdays and stuff like that. But then, you have Father's Day and Christmas and, all the other various holidays throughout the year where you give gifts that, people might be searching Pinterest for gifts for beer lovers. And now we have all of our items that we talk about on Homebrew Academy, and that could drive some traffic. Is that kind of the idea?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
You just can't start a site and have it start ranking. Pinterest is kind of the same way. They want to see a little bit of age, a little bit of engagement. They want to see a couple other things, so those things start to dial up over time. People talk about Sandbox on Google a lot. A new site under 6 months isn't going to hardly get any attention. And when you really think about it, it's actually a pretty good thing. You don't want somebody starting up a site. We've been talking about the homebrew site a lot. If 150 start homebrew sites tomorrow, 150 people start homebrew sites tomorrow.
Yeah.
You want them having the opportunity or even the chance to outrank us for some of the keywords we've been talking about. And then it's a 6 month journey to be able to get there or have a chance to get there. And, Pinterest is usually 3 to 4 months from my experience, but since the IPO, things have been changing pretty rapidly over there.
Yeah. No, that's that makes sense. It's like with podcasts, there's so many coming online all the time, but like the stats show, I don't know what exact stats are, but most of them drop off. So it's like, if iTunes was ranking every single one of those, or even Google, which therein lies a question really quick to you, is, you don't want all these new sites or new podcasts just outranking the ones that are super established and aren't going to go away. Really quick, before we wrap up, have you seen any or do you know of any ways to rank podcasts in Google? Because they're doing a lot of changes with ranking shows or episodes. We've heard a lot of things about Google transcribing, with their AI, the actual content of podcasts. And I don't think that's live yet. But have you seen any strategies around that?
Well, my initial thought is be like similar to voice search. Um, they have been incentivizing FAQ schema across a lot of different industries. And some of the more experienced guys have been manipulating that pretty quick. I would imagine that there's going to be some type of schema that can be added to a page for podcasts relatively quick if there's not already. I don't know too much about that space, right? Just formatting that stuff correctly like you would a good optimized blog post with one header that answers like the question about what this whole thing's about. H2s and H3s, kind of like every single book that you have on your shelf is formatted in a certain way, right? You want to be able to read chapter to chapter and have subheadings in those chapters. I think formatting a podcast would probably give you the best chance of, telling Google what this thing is actually about, and then having your own transcription. And they're probably just going to go ahead and not necessarily believe you 100% anyways, and transcribe their own. But as long as those things start to match up, then you start adding your trust value. I imagine the new ones would rank even faster.
Yeah. I don't want to go too deep down this rabbit hole, but I have to ask now that you mentioned it, with the FAQ schema, have you experimented with that at all? Are you using that on Homebrew Academy or any of your legal sites or anything like that?
Legal sites, yeah. Yep. It kind of works in the jewelry space a little bit, with people looking for, there's two sides of the fence too, right? There's this side of people that says, let's not do that because it's going to contribute to 0 clicks in the SERPs, right?
Right.
There's some stuff that you most likely wouldn't want to click to your site anyways, because it's going to have a bounce rate pretty damn high because they found the one-word answer to the question that they were after.
Yeah.
The lawyer space, it works really well because somebody that has that question, if you provide them a good answer, they're going to have more questions than just the one. They're going to have questions surrounding that entire topic. So you're going to show up for most of those people also ask, like if you click on that box, you're going to get 4 or 5 more questions.
Yeah.
Right. There's a whole content strategy based around that to continue to expand thin content on your site just by adding those additional questions in that Google knows those users are already asking.
Yeah.
If you do that format, should work theoretically.
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea. I've always been hesitant to really dive deep into not always, it's kind of a newer thing that people are talking about, but I've always been hesitant because I've always thought if I put the answer right on Google, that disincentivizes the click. So I see the benefit of taking up more real estate on Google, but I also see with a lot of niches, if somebody gets their itch scratched, they don't need it scratched anymore. So it's always been a debate in my mind about how much sense that makes for people who are trying to drive traffic to their website.
Yeah, it's the big depends. I don't fall on either side of the white hat, black hat type game or conversation. I don't fall on either side of this either. It really depends. If somebody's looking for, what birthstone is January, and you tell them, they didn't want to go read your 10,000 word post about it anyways.
Right.
They weren't, they were going to go to somebody that was going to give it to them at, above the full page content and not serve them 16 ads before they found the answer to the one question they were after.
Right.
So it's really driven around voice search, that data Google feeds into their voice search algorithm. So that's why it's so heavily incentivized. So they can go ahead and lead that search market too, because, that's one of the untapped frontiers. But I think if you provide an answer to a complex question and simplify it to the point where somebody knows that answer serves their itch, but yet they kind of want to know a little bit more about why you know so much about it. There's other ways to perk somebody's interest, if you will, more than just putting ... at the end of it, because that's crap too.
Yeah, that's probably not going to do it.
No, it's it's good copywriting at that point.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice. Hey, maybe it's a good strategy, but the big depends, like you said.
Yeah.
Big depends. That's what Matt wears. Right. So let's wrap it up. We didn't even touch on your business model, but I know we're kind of running a little short on time here, but it's just like you have an interesting way that you partner up. So it's just like, I want to just bring it up super quick here is you're not like an agency, you're not just a freelancer, you actually partner and you do this cool stuff for the right websites, and you get a piece of the action. There's all this, so it's just like a cool model that someone could just put in their head and it's like, oh, that's an option for me, maybe for SEO or something else.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. That definitely is. It provides a better win-win scenario. I think, to partner. And it kind of provides like alignment across two people or two businesses, really. And that's kind of where it really is self-serving to start with. It was one of those things like I have people asking me for help with these types of things, but time and resources are limited. So how do I partner with somebody to where it's a better long-term, mutually beneficial arrangement, rather than just giving somebody, per flat rate for consulting or, whatever other business models out there. I kind of went with people that have found me through other projects, I guess, is kind of where that came from, because they wanted help, but I wanted to kind of build a more intimate, long-term relationship with those people that were asking for help. If that was something they were after, then we could work together. If it was a 2-week SEO consultant, I just wasn't interested. It didn't interest me, and it didn't benefit them all that well either. So I kind of went with, more of the partnership model. That's been working out really well.
Yeah, I think it's smart. It's long term, and you might get the piece of an upside if there is one that gets sold or whatever it might be. I'm not sure all the agreements you do, but either way, I think it's cool because you're in the know. You're right in the middle of opportunity, and you're getting to see if there's actually momentum in these things. So. It's cool, man. Let's
business models. Sometimes it doesn't even cost anything too. Like this Homebrew site, it didn't have a single ad on it, and that was found money, right? Quote unquote. It's not like we had to split anything in half. It was just we tacked on a new revenue stream, and that was the partnership. And now both of those revenue streams increase every month, which makes more sense than just splitting one in half, right? So
that's true.
Depending on the site, the business model, and all that kind of stuff, most of the time I kind of operate under that found money area too, which is usually a pretty easy sell.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the way to do it. Yeah, with display ads is what you did for us. So affiliate stuff. So cool, man.
Well, I think this has been helpful. I appreciate you guys having me on.
We covered a lot. I'm like, and I feel like there's more that we could go down, but
now, is there anywhere you'd want to send people after listening to this? Do you have like a site or a social media account or anything like that they could go learn more about you or get in contact if they have, some idea to work with you or something like that?
Well, that's something I want to talk to you guys more about. I kind of want to leverage your guys' knowledge and experience when it comes to kind of maybe exploring something in that space. One of the things we talked about earlier with the gaps report inside of Ahrefs, I kind of built that into a spreadsheet inside of an SEO audit, and that's been really good when it comes to sending that to new clients or new partnerships. They kind of really love how it kind of gives them an action plan to move forward, a data-driven action plan. I actually did that for a few other people, and they said that should be like, you should sell this, right?
Yeah.
I'm really that good at it, and it kind of provides a window into somebody's business that they haven't necessarily thought about and looked at it from, comparing it to 20 competitors. So I picked up contentgaps.com. I haven't built anything on it yet. But I'm curious to see from you guys' perspective, what do you think is available for something like that? Because I think it's a good opportunity to provide, you know, a data-driven approach that you can hand off to an editor or even just a small site owner or somebody that doesn't necessarily know like where to go from, hey, I just learned about this business online affiliate game. You know, where to start type of thing. So we'll see. I'm not sure if it'll materialize, but you know, I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and you know, wherever else.
So we'll link you up. But yeah, I mean, at a minimum, what you could do is package that up and make a video that shows people how to use that spreadsheet and pair it up with something like Ahrefs. And that could be a free opt-in, so you can grow an email list, you know, of interested folks, and maybe work them into your not agency, but you know, the way you do business. Or you can package it to sell. Same idea too.
Well, you're actually going in and running this report for people's websites, right? It's not just a spreadsheet you're giving them, right?
Yeah, you know, it's a combination of all the different tools inside Ahrefs, you know, and it presents the data in like an action plan rather than just, you know, here's how to use Ahrefs better. You know, there's plenty of content surrounding that from my affiliate brothers out there.
Yeah, I mean, you could even use it as an audit, a way to, you know, just kind of give a lot of cool value. Maybe it's a one-time thing you charge for, but then, you know, it can materialize into a really cool partnership for you as well.
No, I think it's an amazing idea. You can go out there, you could sell that audit for people, and then it is also sort of a little bit of an audit for yourself to, you know, maybe flesh out some companies that would be good for you to work with on a closer level.
Yeah.
So, you know, that it's kind of like an entry point, a one-time fee to kind of get your feet wet with SEO stuff and give them an action plan. And then once you give them the action plan, then you go and say, hey, look, by the way, you're making great waves with your business. If you want me to help you implement this action plan, here's something we can do in that realm. And then now you're partnered with another company, or, you know, so I think it's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Well, Karl, you got like about a month or so until this episode goes live, so you got some time there. Package her up.
At the very least, put an opt-in form up on contentgaps.com so people can go and get on a list in case you start offering these services.
Well, yeah, with the 4 thumbs up over there, I'll have it on done. So it's nice.
4 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, man. Sweet. I think we got everything, man. Yeah, thank you for your time, brother, and I can't wait to keep growing this thing.
Yeah, likewise. You know, we'll have to, you know, follow up on other ways we monetized it later on down the track.
Yeah, give us a few months.
For sure.
All right, Karl. Have a good one, man. See ya.
Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Hustle and Flowchart podcast. Before taking the time to listen, we want to give you something a little bit special. Every single episode that we do, we actually have somebody on our team take notes. We basically have a Cliff's Notes version of every episode where you can go and find all of the tips and tactics that they laid out, all of the resources that they laid out, all the good stuff from this episode. We actually have a nice simple notes version that you can find on our website. So go to evergreenprofits.com, find this episode that you just listened to, and give us your email address and we'll send you the notes. Thanks for listening.
Go get it.
Wiki.